Thanks for joining us again this week. We are so excited to bring you a new career from the entertainment industry, costume design. I cannot wait to hear more. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, April. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. We are so glad to have you. Would you mind taking just a few minutes to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
So, my name is Soyon An. I'm a costume designer and also a stylist. I have been in my field of work for 20 years. I started in LA, but right now, because of COVID and work opportunities, I'm in Dublin. So, with this job, you get to travel and you get to go on locations, and it's very exciting. But that's a little bit of what I do, I guess, in a bigger scope of what.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you're gonna have to edit that.
No, that was perfect. It's so exciting to hear about costume design. That's a field that, maybe a lot of people don't realize is even available to them. So, could you explain a little bit more about what a costume designer does? What maybe your daily activities look like?
Yeah, so definitely I feel, and I have to agree with you, April, costume design is a career that a lot of people don't know about. And I think when you're watching television or your favorite TV show or movie, or even when you're at a concert, you just kind of take for granted the clothes that people are wearing. But that is what a costume designer's job is we develop the look of the character and we dress each of the actors or singer on stage. So for me on a day-to-day basis, every day is very different. There's not one day that looks the same, except maybe my call time. But even then that changes depending on the time that we shoot. But I think, if I was doing a TV show, like a TV episodic, you know, um, I think more instead of like a day-to-day process, I think it should be like a project-based thing. So what I would do is I would put together my idea of what the characters would look like on a mood board after I read the script. So the script inspires the visual conversations and communication that you would have. So it's almost like you're storytelling through clothes. And once you put that mood board together, and that could be anything from magazine clippings to, maybe you might do some research online or Pinterest or even looking on Instagram or, anything, like anything visual or some pictures you might have taken, Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, anything. And then you put it all together per character. Then you have a meeting with the director, the producers, and the network. So a network is anything from like Netflix, ABC, Fox, Disney, DreamWorks, you name it, right? So then you go in, you sell your idea to the team, the creative team. You have to convince everyone to be on board with you visually what the character would look like. Then you have an open conversation with the creative team and they input what they think, what they love, what they didn't love, what they would like changed, what they would like to see further, or if you could take it to the next level or whatever, right? Then you go back as a costume designer. I go back and I take all my notes and I put it back in. And then at that point, I would either start illustrating my designs if it's all custom made, or I would start shopping. And before I actually, go into that. So as a costume designer, we have a union and our guild is called 892. And there's only 3 positions in the guild that you can have, which is a costume designer's position, an assistant costume designer's position, and an illustrator or concept artist position. And if you're working on a union show, whether it's a TV show or a movie, you have to be in the union to do that work. And then there's a sister union, which is called the Costumers Union, and that's 705. And that would be my team that I would hire. So within my union, I would hire my assistant costume designer and my concept artist or illustrator. So if you love drawing or you love drawing clothes and fashion figures or creatures or anything like that, you would want to be a concept artist. If you want to kind of learn and you don't ever want to take on the responsibilities of a costume designer, because it's a lot of responsibilities and you take work home, you might want to consider being an assistant costume designer just to get your feet wet. And then maybe you might decide, once you make your connections with producers and directors, or you realize like, I want to be a costume designer, you might then upgrade your level to being a costume designer. In the sister union in 705, you can be a shopper, you can be a wardrobe supervisor. And a shopper literally is somebody who goes out to all the stores and goes shopping. And it's not go and buy whatever you want, but as a costume designer, I would tell my shopper, who is an extension of myself, because I can't be at 10 places at once, like, let's pretend April's my shopper. And I would say, April, the character has to wear purple. And I imagine her wearing this purple leather jacket with like this really sweet, neckline. And like, let's get lots of gold jewelry. And I would share with her my mood board, or share with you my mood board. And then I'd be like, okay, I would love her to wear some like really kick-ass boots. And I think it should be black. And then obviously, you have your interpretation of what I just described. And then I'm showing you my mood board and you're like, oh, like, I think I get what Soyon is looking for. Then you go to the stores and you realize like, oh, it's not the season, or it's not available, or, oh my God, there's like 20 choices. I don't know what to get. You know what I mean? So as a shopper, you would know, an experienced shopper would know to research, to look at other places. Now we have online shopping, and then also to know, like, get all the options so Soyon can see them all, or whatever. So that's what a shopper does. And then the other positions that you could go for in the sister union is you could be an ager dyer. Like if you love tie dyeing, that's a position. If you love like, let's say you were watching a show like, what's a good reference? Like King's Letter or Game of Thrones or anything like that, like where things look really aged and old. An ager dyer takes a new garment, like a new fur coat, and like dyes it, puts like Fuller's Earth or like costume dirt, or, might put blood on it or whatever to make it look like it's been worn for 100 years or passed down through generations or whatever, but that's what an ager dyer does. And then you can also be a costume supervisor, which is somebody who helps the costume designer with the budget, helps kind of manage the team, helps manage, the 705 members, helps schedule people's call times, people's, days off, anything logistical. But the creative part is kind of making it all work within our department. The list goes on, and you can be a seamstress if you love to sew. You could be a seamstress if you love to, and then within that, there's different entry levels. So you could be a pattern maker, you can be a tailor, and a tailor is really kind of specific to menswear, but women wear blazers and suits, you know what I mean? So, so I think there's so much work, when you think about the entertainment business and just the department, the costume design department, the wardrobe department. So it's very exciting. And, and when I say my day does not look the same, like I might prep in LA, but one day I will be designing, another day I'll be shopping, another day I might be doing fittings. Another day I might be making something, and then I might be going into meetings with Netflix or Disney or whatever. And then I might have to pack all my bags and then fly to Vancouver or fly to Atlanta. That's the crazy whirlwind of this job, but it keeps you on your toes and keeps everything fresh and exciting.
You did such an amazing job explaining your career. I mean, I feel like I learned so much as you were talking. So thank you for enlightening us and letting us know about the different roles and responsibilities, and the different duties that you do throughout your career. I think that's incredible. And I'm sure for a lot of people that are watching, they might never look at a movie the same again, thinking about all the people that worked on those costumes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hands.
Yes. So, one question for you. From your professional journey, what did that look like for you after going to school and, maybe after you graduated high school? What did your professional journey look like to get to where you are today?
Okay, I'm gonna make a very long story short. It's a very long story. But while I was in college, I went to Otis College of Art and Design and to FINM, and while both for fashion design, and I didn't know that costume design was a career option until I got a call from the career center, and they told me that there was a job opportunity as an assistant stylist, and I didn't know what that was, but it sounded interesting, so I went and applied for the job. It was me and 5 other girls. I mean, I have to tell you guys, the fashion industry, whether you're doing costumes, fashion design, or styling, it's cutthroat, and you have to love your work and you have to be committed and dedicated. Like, you have to know that this is what you want to do, because otherwise it's not worth it. It just takes up too much of your time. So, and your social life. And so, I ended up taking the job. And then that's when I realized that celebrities didn't dress themselves. Like, I mean, I was dressing everyone from Mariah Carey, Avril Lavigne, Jessica Simpson, Kate Bosworth, like everybody, and I think that's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, I think this is something I'm very interested in doing, but I missed the designing aspect of my job. So I left styling. Styling is not designing. So that's a whole, April, you're going to have to get a stylist to come on and explain their job. So I needed work because, as a freelance, self-employed person, you always have to find your next job, your next gig. And so I needed to pay rent, and I, needed to work. So I asked around, and somebody had told me that they were looking for a seamstress on a TV show. But I'm not a seamstress, but I can sew. Yeah. But that's the other thing. Like, it's very important to hone in a lot of different skill sets, and then also be a yes person. Like, you can do it, So I went in, I sewed for a week, and they didn't need me anymore, but I felt like I had nothing to lose. So I went up to the costume designer and I told her, look, I actually went to school for fashion design, and I assisted a stylist, and I would love to assist you. Here's my number. I mean, obviously you have it, but give me a call. And also, when I was sewing, I realized TV shows had costume designers. I didn't know that, and so in the same breath of me saying, like, guys, like, it's the costume designer that puts all the clothes on all these actors. Like, I didn't know that. And so it was very exciting. And I was like, I'm very interested in this job. So 3 weeks later, she called me and asked me to be her assistant. It was very like, I mean, the amount of work experience I got just assisting her was huge. And then she asked me to go out on tour. And while I was on tour, I was making all the clothes, and I was traveling all of North America. And, and then I came back 3 months later with a pay raise, but still needing a job, and then it's like, and this immense amount of experience and knowledge that I actually loved costume design. But because I needed a job and I had I guess my education in fashion design, I applied for Forever 21. I was a designer there for 6 months, I was designing knitwear, and I got a call from American Idol, and they asked me to design their tour. And I think that was my huge fork in the road, April, because when you're working in a corporation like Forever 21, it's very secure. You know what you're going to get annually, you know what your pay, what your raise is going to be, you know, you're going to get benefits, you know, after a certain amount of time. So it's like, you know that you'll always have a job. Whereas when you take on a job like costume design, it's freelance. So you don't know what your next gig is, and you're only as good as your last gig, you know, so your reputation is everything, you know, so you always want to do a good job, you know. And that was my huge fork in the road, and I had to take it. I left job security for this exciting life as a costume designer, and I haven't turned back since. I haven't stopped since.
That's incredible. I love hearing your professional journey. I think so many times as young people, they might have an idea of what they want to do in the future. But just like you know, as you go along your professional journey, you're going to discover more opportunities that you never even knew existed. And being okay with change and excited about taking risk and, you know, making those big decisions, that's going to be the pivotal moments in your career that really make or break who you are. That's awesome. So yeah. So the next question that I have for you is, what is something that you wish you would have learned at a younger age?
I wish that I knew about costume design, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I wish I knew more about the entertainment business. So I think what you're doing, these, you know, sessions are amazing, because I felt like I was very, very sheltered from it. So everything that I learned, I had to figure it out on my own. And even in college, I mean, guys, I've been doing this for 20 years. So back in 2000, in 1999, like, you know, in 1997, you know, like people weren't doing this, you know, and even in art school, even in fashion design school, there wasn't very much conversation about a career in costume design. There wasn't much conversation in a career in styling, you know? So that's what I wish I knew. I wish I knew more about what I'm doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that is, you know, now a good suggestion or advice for high school students might be to don't be afraid to go out and be curious and find opportunities. You know, if you are passionate about something, whether it be movies or TV shows or sports, you know, go out and research the careers that are currently available so that you can get an advantage of when you graduate of different opportunities that you could do.
Well, and here's the thing, April, I really think that it's not always about finding what you like. I think it's also important to find the things that you don't like.
Yes.
I think all this experience will help navigate both things. And I think you need both things to know what you ultimately like to do or love to do, you know?
Absolutely. And getting that experience and figuring out what you don't like, just like you said, I mean, that will help you really discover who you truly are. So
Yeah.
be a yes person, be open to opportunities. I love that. So the last question that I have for you, and then I have a few questions from students, is if there's students out there that are interested in becoming a costume designer, what actionable advice, what is something that they could do right now, today, while they're still in high school that would help prepare them for this career?
I 100% advise that you guys do your research, maybe look up your favorite TV shows or your favorite movies, find out who the costume designer is. A lot of people are on Instagram or Facebook or social media, so you can DM them. You can also look them up on IMDb, you know, and you can see kind of their past work, you know, so you can see their body of work, to see like this is who you would want as a mentor. You should write them and let them know that you're interested in maybe an internship or some sort of like shadowing position where you could get some hands-on experience, because the thing with this business is you can't teach it in a classroom. You
Hmm.
have to experience it because it's all troubleshooting on the fly. Like you got to think on your toes and you got to be ready for it, you know? And that opportunity doesn't happen until you're on set, until you're in the design room or you're in the meeting, you know? So, um, I mean, I 100%. And if you're in a position where you can get an internship, you know, you might get school credit or whatever, like do it because it is priceless. You can't pay for that kind of education and experience.
Yes, that is such good advice. And really, it's great advice for any career path. You've got to get that experience. It when looked at on a resume, experience is just as important, if not more important, than education when you're applying for a job. Okay, so we have a few questions from students. I love this question. What is your favorite costume or style that you have designed?
Oh, that's a hard one because I feel like I've been very lucky to have designed so many different types of costumes.
Mhm.
Um, right now we're on like this big like Julie and the Phantoms. Let's give Julie and the Phantoms love. So if you guys haven't watched Julie and the Phantoms on Netflix, you have to binge watch it. It's amazing. That was super fun to do. And we're trying to get season 2 picked up. So we're like, the Phantoms, that's like the fans, they call themselves the Phantoms. And it's like we're totally pushing, you know, the show. And the cast is so amazing. But that was the whole series in itself. I had a lot of fun. Like, I mean, talk about an emotional roller coaster and an adrenaline roller coaster, you know. But another one that I love, like music based, I really loved working with Katy Perry. She did this kind of corporate event in San Francisco, and it was a whirlwind because I had to put together like like a look for her and costumes for the dancers in like 10 days. It was insane. And I had to fly everything over. I didn't do one fitting with Katie, not one, until we got to the venue the day before. So I had to like pray to God. I was like, oh my God, please let the measurements be correct or else I am so screwed. Um, and so thankfully it worked and she was dressed. We were all about to go out on stage and Katie was so amazing. Like, you know, she does a circle, like a circle prayer before she goes and does every show. And she brought me in and it felt really, I mean, she's just an amazing person and performer, but like, it really felt like I was part of the team.
That's awesome. So you talked earlier about how this industry can be very cutthroat. So this really is a good tie-in to the next question is, do you face any negativity in your career and how do you overcome that?
Um, yeah, you know, like I think the negativity sometimes comes from, you know, I think it's a very competitive field. So I think some of the negativity comes from a very maybe subconscious level of from people. And so maybe they don't, and maybe this is my benefit of the doubt, naive way of thinking about, you know, all people, but it's like, I don't think that they mean to, you know, throw you on the under the bus sometimes or um do bad things, but like sometimes I think just as like a survival of the fittest kind of mode, you know, they might say or do things that are just like, yo, that was wrong, you know what I mean? But it's like as long as you stand your ground.
Mhm.
And you know, when I first designed my first TV show on Fox, it was like my very first big TV show. It was So You Think You Can Dance, and I think I was like 25. And um, no, actually, okay. So rewind. So remember when I was telling you guys that I got that assistant design position with that costume designer? So there was a tailor on set, and I will never forget what he said to me. And he said, you know, everyone will talk, but at the end of the day, people will see your work and people will see how hard you work. And that will be louder than anyone's words. And I was like, yes, I like that, So guys, like really to overcome it, just know yourself and know that you're giving it 150% and all of your whole self, your love, and it'll shine through 1000%.
Yes. Oh, that's such good advice. So the last question that we have for you today is, besides entertainment, talking about movies, TV, music, are there other industries that need costume designers?
Yes. So if you guys go see musicals or operas, theater, they need costume designers. If you see, in Disneyland, all the princesses and all the characters, Universal, all those characters, that's a costume designer's work. Mm-hmm. A costume designer sometimes comes in and does uniforms for airplanes. Sometimes we do designs for restaurant uniforms, hotels, like anything that doesn't seem like it could be purchased off the rack. They usually find costume designers to design something custom, design something fresh and new.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to really pay attention to movies and TV shows now and think about all the detail and all the planning process that goes into making that happen. So, well, thank you so much for being with us today. Is there any last minute advice that you want to leave with students before we finish up today?
No, I think, well, okay. Yeah, the only advice that I would give is, just try it. Mm-hmm. Don't say no, don't say you don't like something until you try it. And I do say that to my kids as well.
Yes. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you so much to everyone that tuned in. Be sure and check back next week. We will have another industry professional to bring you some amazing advice, just like we did today. So see you next time.